In part 1 of this assignment, we took a tour of the ArcGIS StoryMaps product pages. The tour emphasized the resources available to help you plan an effective story. You should have submitted your plan by now. Soon you'll receive individual feedback about your plan from your instructor. Consider that feedback carefully and revise your plan as needed before you begin building your story map. This video is a tour of a story map built by Alan Carroll, who leads Esri's StoryMaps team. Alan's story is a 10-step tutorial that introduces the new StoryMaps Builder tool. Before joining Esri, Alan was chief cartographer at the National Geographic Society, so he knows a thing or two about telling stories with maps. The tutorial begins by reminding us of the difference between the new StoryMaps Builder and the classic StoryMap app templates. Those are still around, as you can see here, but we're going to concentrate on the new template-free Builder tool. Step 1 is to start a story. In part 1 of this assignment, I demonstrated how to sign in to storymaps.arcgis.com using your Penn State Enterprise login. Here, I'm going to assume that you've got that. The second step is to create a cover. Alan's tutorial demonstrates how to add an image or video and provides a successful example. Step 3 is building your narrative. This animation demonstrates options available in the so-called block palette. There's also some advice about editing text. Step 4 explains how to place images in your story. You can adjust the size and position of your image and add a caption or alt text so that people with impaired vision can hear a description of what the image looks like. You're also reminded to cite the image author. Don't forget to acknowledge copyrights and to claim educational fair use if you don't own the image or have permission to use it. Step 5 deals with adding maps. When you choose Map from the block palette, you'll get a window showing several cards, like this. The cards represent the content items you've saved in your ArcGIS Online account, plus an option to create an express map. One way to add an interactive map to your story is to create, save, and share a web map in ArcGIS Online, just as you've done several times in this course. Then you can click its card and add it to your story map. Another way to add a map is to create an express map. Express maps are included in the StoryMaps Builder as a simple option for storytellers who aren't into the whole GIS thing. Express maps lets you choose a base map, then add points and text, and even draw lines and areas. There's a brief video introduction to express mapping, which you can watch on your own. You may find express maps useful for your story, but for this assignment, please keep in mind that express maps are no substitute for web maps you create from layers in the Living Atlas and other sources. Step 6 in the tutorial discusses a block palette option called Sidecar. Adding a sidecar means adding a second panel to your story, like the classic story map journal template. You can add text and multimedia to your sidecar. As shown here, you can even create a sequence of sidecar slides that your viewers can scroll through. Step 7 is about embedding. The Embed option lets you incorporate videos, tweets, and fully interactive web pages to your story by copying and pasting a URL or a bit of iframe code. You may be familiar with embedding YouTube videos in blog posts and web pages. Does this look familiar? There's a bit of iframe code. iframe, short for inline frame, is an HTML tag for embedding web content within web pages. You can find this documentation at w3schools.com. As explained in the tutorial, content embedded in story maps often appears as cards, especially when viewed on mobile devices. Step 8 provides advice about refining the design of your story map. You can experiment with different themes, cover layouts, and other customizations. Step 9 adds important advice about publishing and sharing your story. As we've seen earlier in Geography 482, sharing your app so others can view it without signing into ArcGIS Online is often the trickiest part. I won't record this brief video here, but I encourage you to watch it on your own. A link to this tutorial appears in the Story Map Part 2 assignment page in Canvas. Step 9 even describes how you can add Google Analytics to track web traffic to your story, among other options. Finally, Step 10 encourages you to promote your story through social media. I hope that you'll be so proud of your story map that you'll want to share it with the world.